In other news, in a bid to counter China's maritime expansion, Japan will export used Navy destroyers to the Philippines.
Imagine waking up and finding out Japan just handed the Philippines 6 warships. Yes, 6 destroyer escorts bristling with submarine hunting tech, anti-ship capabilities, and a message carved in steel. Beijing, step carefully. This isn't about rusty leftovers being shipped off with a bow on top. These are Abukuma-class destroyers, lean, precision-built machines designed to sniff out submarines, intercept air threats, and remind the world that the South China Sea isn't a free-for-all for China's expansion. The timing couldn't be more explosive. While the West Philippine Sea boils with tension, Japan drops this bombshell move that practically makes China choke on its tea. Here's why this matters. Japan doesn't give out warships like they're handing out coupons. This is a deliberate move, a calculated play in a much bigger Indo-Pacific chess game. And with this deal, the Philippines just got promoted from pawn to rook, with teeth. But here's the twist. These ships may arrive stripped of their most powerful weapons. No Harpoon missiles, no Phalanx defense guns, unless Washington gives the green light. Think of it as buying a sports car but realizing the turbo isn't included. Still sleek, still fast, but not quite the fire-breathing monster you thought you'd get. So the burning question is this: is Tokyo really upgrading Manila's firepower, or is this about sending Beijing a loud and unmistakable signal? That's where things get thrilling. Because these ships aren't just hardware, they're symbols. Proof that Japan is stepping out of its cautious post-Wabihu shadow and stepping up in the Indo-Pacific. Let's zoom out. Japan has some of the strictest arms export laws in the world, forged in the ashes of World War II. For decades, Tokyo avoided becoming an arms dealer and kept its military hardware at home. But those laws also carve out an exception. When national security and strategic interests collide, the doors swing open. And right now, those doors are wide open. China is flexing hard in the South China Sea, swarming reefs, blocking supply runs, and treating international waters like private property. Meanwhile, Japan faces its own standoff with Beijing over the Senkaku Islands. What pressures Manila echoes in Tokyo. 2 flashpoints, 1 looming shadow. That's why this isn't charity. It's deterrence wrapped in alliance. Japan is planting a marker. Philippines, you're on the front line, and we're standing right beside you. Beijing, take note. We're watching. And here's the headline that deserves a circle in red ink. This is the single biggest transfer of combat-ready Japanese warships to another country in modern history. That's not a footnote in the news cycle. That's a neon billboard flashing that Japan is no longer content to sit back. Picture this: 6 Japanese destroyers sailing into the Philippines, but not all fully armed to the teeth. No Harpoon missiles unless Washington approves. No advanced Phalanx guns without clearance. Why? Because this isn't just about unleashing raw firepower. It's about optics, strategy, and keeping the escalation dial steady. So are these ships a gift, a warning, or both? The truth is they're all 3. Tools for Manila, signals to Beijing, and a powerful declaration that Japan is moving pieces on the Indo-Pacific board. And here's what locks it in: the real capabilities of these warships, even without their heaviest punch. Spoiler alert, they're far more formidable than most people think. Let's break open the hood. The Abukuma-class destroyer escorts are no museum pieces. Think of them as Swiss Army knives for the sea, versatile, durable, and ready to fight. Born in the late 80s and early 90s, these ships are still battle-tested today. Each comes armed with a 76mm Oto Malara naval gun, a system the Philippine Navy already knows well. Translation: no steep learning curve, just immediate firepower added to the fleet. Then comes the underwater muscle. These ships carry ASROC launchers for anti-submarine rockets, torpedo tubes, and hull-mounted sonar. If a Chinese submarine dares to slip into Philippine waters, the Abukumas can answer fast and hard, game over. On top of that, radar and search systems, while not cutting edge anymore, are proven, reliable, and primed for upgrades. And that's the key. These ships are platforms, built to adapt, ready for new weapons, new tech, and new missions. Hidden below deck is another gem, propulsion. With a hybrid of diesel and gas turbines, including Rolls-Royce engines built under Kawasaki license, these vessels are fast, efficient, and sharp. For the Philippine Navy, it's like stepping out of an old sedan and sliding behind the wheel of a turbocharged sports car. The ride is smoother, the learning curve is steep, but the payoff is massive. Now stack it up. 6 ships that can hunt subs, scan the skies, patrol contested waters, and finally give depth to a fleet that has long been stretched too thin. Sure, they don't come with all the heavy missiles, but with upgrades, new radars, modern sonar, and future anti-ship weapons, these Abukumas could become the backbone of Manila's navy. And here's the bigger twist. This deal is not just about ships. It's about a new chapter in defense ties between Tokyo and Manila, and its ripple effects spread across the entire Indo-Pacific. On paper, it looks simple. Japan transfers ships, the Philippines sails them. But in reality, it's a tectonic shift. For the Philippines, this is a transformation. For decades, its navy carried the underdog tag, aging vessels, weak firepower, and a reputation closer to a coast guard than a true blue water navy. These Abukumas flip that script. 6 hulls in the water, each with teeth, each with potential, each sending a clear message. The Philippines is here, and it matters. For Japan, this goes beyond exporting ships. It's exporting influence. It's Tokyo stepping into a bold, visible security role in Southeast Asia, something unthinkable not long ago. A nation once sworn off military projection is now planting its flag in the region's defense future. And for China? Every sweep of these radars, every ping of their sonar will be tracked in Beijing with unease. To them, this isn't 6 ships, it's 6 flashing warnings. The South China Sea just became more crowded, and the dragon knows it. Expect pushback, patrols, and tense standoffs. But here's the pivot. This deal is about momentum. If the Philippines modernizes these ships, ties them into US, Japanese, and Australian operations, and invests in doctrine and training, the Navy evolves into a force capable of shaping the region's rules. Without that, 6 tied-up hulls sitting idle change nothing. So the real question is, what kind of navy does Manila want to build? A reactive patrol fleet? Or a maritime power ready to write the rules of the Indo-Pacific? Because once the first Abukuma sails into Manila Bay, the old status quo vanishes. The world will be watching. China will be watching. History will be watching. Now it's your move. Should the Philippines load these ships with missiles, double down on sub-hunting, or master the training curve first? Drop your strategy in the comments. I want to hear your playbook for the Navy's future. And if you're ready to keep riding shotgun on stories that cut deeper than the headlines, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because the Indo-Pacific thriller is only just heating up. So where does this leave us? The arrival of 6 Japanese destroyers in Philippine waters is far more than a story about ships changing hands. It's about the shifting architecture of power in the Indo-Pacific. For decades, the Philippines has struggled to modernize its navy, often overshadowed by larger regional players and constrained by budgets, outdated fleets, and political hesitation. This deal cracks that cycle wide open. 6 hulls may not sound like much when compared to China's rapidly expanding navy, but symbolism matters. For the first time in years, Manila isn't merely reacting to China's moves. It's sending signals of its own. The Abukuma-class vessels embody this turning point. They aren't state-of-the-art stealth destroyers bristling with next-gen weapons. But they don't need to be. Their value lies in 3 layers. First, they immediately boost Manila's ability to patrol contested waters, hunt submarines, and defend maritime supply routes. Second, they provide a platform for upgrades, training, and tactical integration with allies. And third, they shift perceptions, turning the Philippine Navy from a background actor into a visible and credible player on the regional stage. Perception, after all, is a weapon of its own. For Japan, this is a historic gamble. For decades after World War II, its constitution limited military exports and discouraged overseas projection of power. Now Tokyo is not just exporting hardware, but exporting security guarantees, influence, and deterrence. Every abukuma sailing under the Philippine flag is also a shadow of Japanese presence in the South China Sea. It shows that Japan is no longer content to defend only its own islands. It's defending the stability of the entire region. That's a seismic shift. For China, the message is crystal clear. Every time these ships deploy sonar or radar, Beijing is reminded that the Indo-Pacific waters are no longer theirs to dominate, uncontested. 6 ships may not match China's numerical advantage, but they complicate its calculus. They force Beijing to think twice before blocking supply routes, swarming reefs, or intimidating smaller nations. And in geopolitics, even hesitation can be victory. The final question rests with Manila. Will it embrace this moment, invest in training, upgrades, and doctrine, and carve out a stronger role in the region? Or will these ships risk becoming symbolic trophies tied up in port? The answer will define the Philippines' naval identity for decades to come. And with the world, Beijing, Tokyo, and Washington all watching, there's no room for hesitation. The ships are here. The opportunity is here. What the Philippines does next could rewrite the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific.